Hello! That was obnoxiously high-pitched introduction. Wow. Can't believe I did that. It's somewhat embarrassing, if I'm embarrassed easily. Anyways, alright. We are good to go. Metronome is doing its clickety-clickety-clickety in a second. Hey, there it is. I do want that a little bit louder. I could barely hear it, yes. Just a little bit. There we go. How's everybody doing today? I got my chats up. Hey, what's up, Rebecca? Kelk? Did I say that right? Hopefully I'm not butchering anything. Anyways, so I'm just going to start with the warm-ups, unless there's requests and stuff like that, and move on into some pieces. So this will be fun. Hey, great! So right now I'm just doing a little bit of a warm-up. Getting the hands going. So do you play any instruments, Rebecca? Oops. Nice. I also play piano, but nobody wants to hear that. I play just enough to pass it in school. What I'm doing right now is just a simple arpeggio with the goal of balancing. It's tough to talk and do it at the same time. Oh, nice. So what type of guitar do you play? Classical, steel string, electric? Nice. I have a steel string. It's in that case that you can see in the background with the like shiny guitar on it. Somebody painted on my case. It's pretty artistically cool in my humble opinion. But I also have an electric that's hanging on the wall that's not in camera view. But the classical is my main guitar and instrument. So right now I'm just going through my normal warm-up routine, adjusting the metronome, get the fingers stretched out, stuff like that. Do you do a lot of stuff with the pick, finger picking? Sure that I can see everything real quick. There we go. There. Where was I? Do you have any questions on anything guitar related? What are you working on now? Anything, what's the way to put it? Anything getting tricky? Difficult to perform? Questions on where to fret? Anything like that? I love talking guitar, so. Yeah. Totally get you on the bar chords. Totally get you on the bar chords. So doing these types of 5-string ones, and then you get the glorious 6-string ones there. As for the speed with that exercise, that was, I'm kind of keeping it tame to warm up. I'm always like to approach the exercises a little bit, well, significantly under the tempo where I could be quote unquote capable of shredding through it. But that's never a goal with music, at least in my thing. You know, it's good to have the technical chops to play fast, but speed comes really easy when you're consistently accurate. If you're just trying to get quick, it's always going to end up, you're always going to hit a wall and have to fix it, and hit a wall and have to fix it. So I tend to aim for what's the speed where I can not spend hours on an exercise, but make it accessible so I can continually nail it, and then I'll slowly speed it up. Like by slow, I mean like 1 or 2 clicks, so that I'm constantly playing it absolutely correct. So, bar chords those are always like the big stepping stone, especially for my students. When I have to start teaching them bar chords, I'm like, you're gonna have to trust me on this. It will make your life a lot easier. It's just gonna take some endurance. And one of the big things that I like to say is that, you know, if you're practicing on squeezing to get the bar chord, it's going to wear out your endurance really, really quick. And part of the trick to it, especially with a steel string and electric, is those guys' necks are curved. Classical guitar's neck is flat. But when you have a curved neck, you can put a little bit of, let gravity do the work to get the fretted notes to come out nice and clean. Like I'm barely squeezing to get this chord to come out, but I am pretending like I have like a hook on my elbow that's pulling me down just a little bit. You don't want to bend the strings, but you want to let gravity do a little bit of the work there for you. Because, I mean, I saw, when I was first starting to play guitar, I saw Dave Matthews, and he did like a 3-hour concert of doing bar chords, and at the time, my jaw hit the floor. I was like, how the hell does he pull off bar chords for 3 hours in a show? That's crazy amounts of endurance. But then, as I got more used to playing and understood that, wait a minute, if you do this with a little bit more gravity than muscle tension, it's a lot easier, and you can pull it off. It doesn't mean that it's totally easy. It just takes a bit of the edge off. So it's something to be aware of. What bar chords are you playing, like in sense of like A, B, C, like these types of things, or doing a little bit of stare? And I'm a little out of tune. Where's my handy dandy tuner? I don't have a clip-on on this guy because it vibrates so much it rattles the clip-on, which is annoying. Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah, totally. You don't want to have that pause in between switching chords. That always makes it sound weird. Um, you know what? Let me do this next exercise and get my stretches in. So it'll be maybe like a couple of minutes. And then I'll take a look at Rockstar here and see if I can give you a little bit of a pointer if you want any. Yep. The exercise that I'm doing now, it's really not. I'm basically just practicing hammer-ons and pull-offs, or the technical word that we use in classical guitar is slurs. That stands for both the hammer-on and the pull-off. The big thing is I'm practicing them as loud as possible because I really want the endurance in my fingers. And when I'm doing a hammer-on, I want to hear that thunk. You can hear that little thunk when I'm hitting the fretboard there. And then the pull-off, I'm just snapping the string. You know, I'm not coming directly off, because if I came directly off the string, it wouldn't talk. Like, you wouldn't hear the other note that I'm going to. So here's... It's a little bit of a... what's the way to... I'm drawing a blank on the term. This is a little bit of a snap of the string for the pull-off, and this is a straight pull-off. The volume just dies. You don't want that. You want it to be the same type of volume. So... And I'm just doing it with, I mean, if you've been playing piano, you clearly know how to read the rhythms. And I'm just doing an eighth note and 2/16. So 1 and a 2 and a 1 and a 2 and a 1, 2 and a, for the rhythm. But I'm going to do it in all finger groups. You don't necessarily have to start it this hard. Give me a second. I'll show you a simpler version of this. Yeah, also, real quick, if you have a link to the music that you're using for the Nickelback tune, send it to me so I'm going to be using the same thing that you are to kind of explain some things rather than pulling one up and seeing what's different. So, almost done here. Well, I got a couple more finger sets. Gotcha. Did he just write it out? Okay, so I'll just look it up online in a second here. Ah. that out for a second. So I got a couple more sets. So I go through like every finger set, 0 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4. Always make sure that you're holding the fingers down, and then I do 2 to 4, 1 to 3, and 1 to 4. Whew, my endurance today is not there. Okay. All right, I'll take a look at it as soon as I'm done with this. There we go. All right, so, oh yeah, I was going to show you a little simple thing with that exercise. All right, I'm going to say anything that comes with, cool, thanks, Ren Zenith, appreciate it. Cheers to you. Anyways, so a simple version of this, Rebecca, is just to set a metronome at a rate that you can control it. I'm gonna say, just for the time being, like if you're starting out just doing this exercise, let's get it to like 60 beats a minute, okay? And you're just gonna practice going through, like I usually start my students at the 5th fret, mainly because it's easily accessible in terms of all their fingers. And like I do the first 3 frets because it's a little bit wider and it's kind of pushes me a little bit more. As you could tell, I was kind of getting a little bit was tapped out endurance wise. I can usually do that without a problem, but I've been practicing like crazy this week. Anyways, so the metronome set at 60, and it's just going to be, you're going to separate it. Instead of doing hammer-ons and pull-offs together, you're just going to do hammer-ons for one run, and then you're going to do pull-offs for the other. So set it at 60, and then each click is going to be a hammer-on. So it's going to be like this. Whoop. Like that. Nice, even, across the frets. And then taking your time, make sure the hammer-ons speak. Like, you know, I was talking about the thunk earlier. Make sure that the thunk is really pronounced. It just click, thunk. And then after that, once you're done with that, just that fret, I would do the opposite of getting the pull-off going. So you want to kind of produce a snap So I tell my students to pull off to the next string. And that goes for the other finger combination. So if I'm going 1 to 2, it's going to be that same amount of thunk. And then if I'm going from the pull-offs, it's going to be the same amount of pull. I'm going to basically be pushing with my first finger and pulling down with my second finger. I don't want an extreme thing like this, but I want to be able to create a little bit of a snap. And this is in practice. And when it's actual execution, it'll be more secondary in nature, and it'll allow them to speak. And that's it. You know, do all the finger combinations from there. 1 to 2, 0 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, and then 2 to 4, 1 to 3, and then 1 to 4. Okay, let's take a look here for Rockstar. Helps if I can type. So you got F, B flat, and E flat. Ooh, E flat's gonna be fun. G, major 3, C. Nice. That's an interesting chord progression. Okay. This is where I'm looking. So, hang on 1 second here. Hey, thanks for the follow, Ren. Appreciate it, dude. That's what I'm looking at right now, so you can pull it up real quick. So, let's see here. The pre-chorus. You know what? I'm going to be that guy. I'm going to play it on YouTube real quick because it's been a long time since I've heard the tune. Yeah, here comes an ad. Goodbye, ad. Give me 1 second here. Is that music layout work okay for you? Here we go. Hear this part. Okay. All right. So right there, that little pre-chorus section. Let me pull up the chat again. Okay. The pre-chorus section there is, yeah. So getting from the G to the B flat seems, yeah, that is right. I am a lefty, stuck that way. So it's fortunate or unfortunate enough for somebody to restring a guitar the other way when I first started. Nice. Have you heard of Southpaw Guitars? It's a shop in Texas that has nothing but lefty guitars. It's my mecca. I haven't been there yet, but someday I will get there to check it out. What is going on with the stream? Okay. All right, did you hear me mention Southpaw Guitars? It's a cool online shop that I go to consistently shop for guitars. Anyways, Rebecca, moving on to your question here. Is it, or to my question, did you have, let me see if I can pull this music up in a window. There it is. That's awfully big. Boop. Let's move this over here. All right. So that's that. I'm not sure exactly where'd my chat window go. Hey, thanks, Woodlands. Appreciate the follow. All right, Rebecca. If you can see this that I've brought up, there's the chord progression. But are you playing G open or close? Are you going like this? Okay. Good, good. So with the that section right there, if you're playing the G as a bar chord, it's going to make the B flat a little bit easier to go to. If you're playing it open, you know, I can see where the difficulty might be in learning to switch that quick. There's two solutions. If you're doing the bar chord, you have no idea. Well, if you're playing G like this, in the full bar chord thing, which I'm assuming you're trying to do because of the F chord that's in there, unless your teacher gave you the F chord kind of like this, or like this. Either way, this could still work. Solution number one would be, if you're going the bar chord route, moving this shape to the 6th fret for the B flat. So it'd be like... You know, that's one thing. I gotta get that in context again. Let me back that up. Hey, let's see if I can pronounce this right. Hey, so no, I'm totally lefty. 100%. Paid the extra for the guitars and everything. Okay. Yeah, I am totally lefty. Anyways, so yeah, Rebecca, I would just, if you're playing G in the bar chord form like I have it here, you're gonna need to play it on the 3rd fret, and then moving to the 6th fret for the B flat would be easy. If you're doing it open, and you're going to the 5th fret string right here, it's gonna be a matter of breaking it down enough so that you know exactly what your fingers are doing. Part of the thing is like, I see a lot of my students just trying to grab the chord, and that kind of works, but breaking it down into each motion gives you a little bit more control, and then you can speed it up. So what I mean by breaking it down is you have like your open G chord like this, and then you have to kind of walk through what your fingers are doing. So the B flat chord, the 5 string, is either played like that, or you can use your 3 fingers like that. I'll talk you through both of those, and then I'm going to move on with the warm-ups here. I got to get some stretches in. So with the G chord, I'm going to think, all right, what are my fingers going to do next? Now, the first thing is my first finger is going to find that B flat on the 5th string, and then I'm going to be moving my ring finger to bar those 3 strings, and that's pretty much the entire bar. You can get your first finger flat to get this high F there, and that'll complete it, but as long as you have this right here, you're okay. If it's a B flat sus2, which is what you said, you're going to have a different shape. So I'll get that in a second. But so that's from G open to the B flat on the 5th string. I'm going to be watching my first finger that is going to go back a fret, and then I'm going to move my 3rd finger to bar across the strings. If I'm doing a B flat sus2, the first motion is going to stay the same. The B flat, my first finger is going to move from this B, which is on the 2nd fret of the A string, to the 1st fret of the A string. And then I'm going to complete the chord by moving my 3rd finger and my 4th finger up 2 sets of strings and getting the bar across all 5. So knowing what motions I'm doing helps me get a little bit more control of what my fingers are doing, and I break it down into that particular thing. You want to move your bass notes first, because those are the first ones you're going to hit with your pick or whatever you're playing with. Like that. So the next thing to do is, sometimes it's just rote repetition in order to get it more and more fluid. So what I would do is, I always point the wrong way. It's over this shoulder, right? There's my handy dandy metronome. With the metronome, I'm going to have it set like it is. Start it off, and then just for the sake of demo purposes, I'm going to speed this up, but you might want to start it around 60. So let's just say 90 for the time being. So I'm going to start with 4 clicks in between my chords. So I'm going to go G, 2, 3, 4, G flat, 2, 3, 4. Like that. So to repeat that again, 4 notes, or 4 clicks in between the motion between the chords. 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. So the way that works is that I want to make sure that my additional beats in between those ones are the time that I take to switch to the chord. So I'm not just holding this and then quickly trying to grab it. I'm playing it and then I'm waiting for the one to come along. Then once I have that pretty solid, I take away a beat. I go down to 3 beats between chords. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, and so on. Then, once I have that pretty solid, I take away another beat, and I do it in 2 beats. Not 3, 2. So, back on. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Then, once I have that set, I just give myself 1 beat per chord, and I practice that for a bit, if I can. Now, I've been playing for a long time, so that's relatively easy to get between those 2 chords. So that's a great way to practice just that section, and it'll make it so that you can do that with any type of chord progression where you seem to be stuck between switching between chords, is to just use this formula in that section. I mean, I do it in classical pieces when I have great leaps or weird chord configurations and stuff like that. But yeah, it's a great tip, and hopefully that'll help you out with that section. But unfortunately, there's no real shortcut to just nailing it outside of drilling it. But the one thing that I always make sure that I tell people when they're doing these types of exercises, it's to do it every day. You know, it doesn't have to be hours. It can be 5 minutes a day, but you're going to make a lot more progress doing it daily than trying to put like an hour into it over a weekend and then not touching it again. So it's got to be close enough in a daily routine with a small amount of time, and you'll get bigger gains musically that way. All right. So hopefully that'll help you. Let's get rid of this Nickelback thing here, and hopefully your teacher isn't offended and I'm not stepping on toes. You're welcome. Let's turn that away. Where did that go? Tab. Click. Oh no, man. Nope, not at all. I like answering questions, and it's what I do. I'm a professor of guitar at Kenyon College in Ohio, and this is just one of the things that I've noticed with myself is if I'm not being continually watched I lose my performance edge in the sense of, you know, I start to get a little bit nervous. And some stage fright is normal, but I like to not have any. So I figured, you know what, I might as well just be continually exposed to people and get used to being in front of them at all points and not have a practice room versus performance room separation. So I don't know if you can flip the thing around or not. Most of my students like it because at least in a one-on-one session, it's a direct mirror of the guitar. So that's one of these small number of advantages to being lefty. That and nobody can just pick up my guitar and play it. Right now I'm doing a spider exercise for vertical stretching. No, that's not necessarily true. I haven't had any guitars stolen, luckily, but they won't steal it and be happy that they stole it, that's for sure. Unless they're lefty. In which case I probably know them, because there's not too many of us. Whenever you're doing any type of stretching, one second, let me finish the stretches and then I'll answer your question there, Barbs. Is it just classical what you do? Or do you also do finger styles like Anton? Yeah, actually, I do both. I'm primarily classical now. I used to do a lot of the finger style stuff. I had an album out. You can search me on iTunes. If you search for Adam Keeler, my album is out there. But it's old. It's almost going on 20 years old now. Jeez. Oh yeah. Thanks, Automatrix. Yep. Cool. Yep. This is it's a vertical stretch, and it's meant to just, well, I mean, obviously stretching. So in terms of tips with that, like to break down the exercise, it's, you know, I'm going 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. Just pronounce the V's as W. So, was. I'm sorry if I'm butchering that. Pronunciation is not my strong point, clearly. Yeah, hopefully I got it right that last time. Anyways, so with that routine, with this stretch, you want to make sure that every note is legato, which is the technical way of saying connected. So one should flow to the other, and to the other, to the other, to the other, to the other. Yeah, no worries, man. My YouTube channel has all these videos up there as well. So, you know, I do this in several videos. It's kind of my warm-up routine. But, excuse me. So you want to make sure you're taking your time with any type of stretch. The goal isn't to see how quick I can go through this. The goal is to make sure that I'm stretching all the muscles in my forearm and back of the hand with it. It's pretty tricky. You know, it's in the sense of like just learning it, but once you get it, it's really easy. Just make sure you take your time with it. You don't want to get injured or anything like that. Always be on the threshold of pain, not walking into the room. The YouTube channel, good Lord, why am I drawing a blank? I can tell you in 1 second here. ACK Guitar. me type it out in the chat. There it is. So there's other videos of me running stuff and doing these particular exercises. That was a vertical stretch. This next one's going to be a horizontal stretch. And it's a little bit easier to grasp visually than the vertical one here. But I'm basically going 1, 2, 3, 4, but adding a fret in between. Oh, nice. I'm approaching the 30-year mark of playing, which is crazy. I never thought I'd say that. Under the stream section. Under the stream is a section. Has not written anything yet. Maybe put links in there. Where is that? What have I not written? Huh. Ludwiko Einald's music. No, I haven't heard of it, but I will totally look that up for sure. Oh, one last thing, Automatrix, on the this exercise. Make sure you're using primarily fingers to get the stretch. You don't want to move your thumb from the back of the neck. Like, your thumb should be completely static. On that, in order to make sure that the stretches are in between the fingers. You don't want to adjust your arm to get it. Now, oh, thanks, Delta Soul. Appreciate the follow there. I'll check them out, Rebecca, for sure. Anyways, the horizontal stretch is different in the sense that you can move your thumb because you're trying to stretch out back here. Try and get it as much as you can, but, you know, sometimes it's just unavoidable. The thing to avoid is getting the violin fingers. You want to try and keep it as straight on as possible. I started when I was around 10, now 48. Drums as well. Yes, about the thumb. Cool. So horizontal, I just put a stretch of 1 fret in between just to start. My thumb isn't on the back of the neck completely because that would make these stretches impossible. And the goal isn't to be able to execute these stretches necessarily in like in a piece or a song or a lick, so to speak, but to just stretch out in between the fingers so that other things are easier to grab. That's step 1. And the next thing is to add 2 steps in. So you're basically moving in minor thirds up the strings here. So 1st fret, 4th fret, 7th fret, 10th fret. Doesn't have to be quick, but try to make the notes as connected as possible. One of the other things too is what I'm aiming for is to be as close to the frets as possible. Hey, thanks, Wars. Hopefully I got it right that time. Yeah. You don't want to be like back in the fret. That's going to make things more difficult. The closer you are to the fret, then you're working with the instrument rather than against it. At least an exercise. An execution, sometimes chords can be really tricky, and you're just going to have to land wherever the heck you can get it to sound. Yeah, no problem, man. I'm going to be doing more exercises right now. So, cool. Thanks for swinging by, Wars, and have fun gardening. I have a brown thumb. I like to kill plants, even though I try to help them. So, Sure, no problem. There's more of them on the YouTube channel, and I'm going to be doing some more here now. Oops, that was my wife's texting me. I'm not in trouble. It's all good. All right, so next up is, that's pretty much how I end my fretting hand. I try to be hand neutral here. My fretting hand routine. And just with the stretches, after I warm up the muscles first. I never want to do a stretch cold because that can lead to injury. And I've had a few injuries, especially when I was going to school for music, because the pressure to continually perform is crazy high. So I always make sure that I take my time now that I'm out of the schooling way to stretch properly and so on, because that was the worst. I was working on my senior recital and I just I screwed up my pinky finger. I pulled a ligament and I had to take like 2 months off, which was like, sweet, no pressure. I can't really play guitar and I only have the culmination of my undergraduate degree coming up. It ended up being fine, but what's the way to put it? The 2 months off were immensely nerve-wracking. Helped me with my theory, but not necessarily with the playing. All right, so I like to, when I'm doing exercises with my right hand, or my fretting hand, it's pretty easy to have goals if you like where you're going to end. It's like, okay, I'm going to do this set of sequences and then be done with it. The plucking hand is different because there's really no end to what you can do with arpeggios. So I always would set a timer for a couple of minutes when I'm doing the exercises to keep the flow going. And so I can stop it and switch to something else. So I'm going to start with basically a flamenco exercise, though I'm more classically orientated with things. So I'm going to be using my pinky with this arpeggio. And this is going to be, in traditional guitar notation, C, A, M, I, P. Taken from the Spanish, which I will completely butcher if I try to say it, so I'm not going to. But basically, P, I, M, A are what we generally use, and then occasionally with the pinky there, the C. So I'm going to start the metronome at 90 beats a minute. I'm going to be playing an eighth note to it, and I'm going to be doing an arpeggio going down the strings. But I'm going to be going... I'm going to be doing the eighth notes and alternately plucking. So I'm going in, out, in, out. So 1 and 2 and next finger, 2 and next finger, 2 and next finger, 2 and next finger, 2 and rotating for 3 minutes. It's a great way to just exercise the extensors. You don't want to have always this motion. It makes a big difference in complementarity. It's like working out one side of your body versus everything. So you want to have both things going while you're doing it. Just realize you can't see it. There we go. thanks for the follow. And so on. So the timer helps me not get zoned out because, I mean, BC, before children and everything else, I would sit there and do these exercises ad nauseum till I felt I was done. And sometimes it would be 5 minutes, sometimes it would be 45 minutes or an hour. And just doing the same thing, it gets very zen. And I like that, just being in the moment. But I've discovered after the birth of my first son, or after my birth of my son, do I ever play with a... Oh, yeah. I can play with a pick. I don't do it on this guitar. This is my concert classical, so it's very precious to me, and I don't want to scratch it up more than I already have. If you can see, I don't know if you can tell or not, I have... there it is. I have protective plastic things on it that are just static cling, so that when I'm doing stuff where I tap on it, it protects it from doing it. If I use a pick, I get tons of scrape marks on this one. No, it's well, it's just a plastic cling tape. I use a site called Strings by Mail, and this is, you can see it. It's just a sheet of like a Klingon thicker plastic that's just held together literally with static onto the guitar. It's easily removable. You know, I could take it off if I wanted to. I don't really need to, but you can see it just sticks on, comes off really easy. Doesn't leave a thing. It's great. You know, it really protects the instrument. Anyways, moving on to the next set. I mean, I can do, sorry, Rebecca, I'll come back. Do I? Yes. So in essence, yes, I do. But though I primarily use my fingers, you know, it all depends on what I'm getting paid to do sometimes. I played electric guitar for 10 years before I switched to fingerstyle, somewhere in there. And I mean, I was still playing electric all the time, and I would still use a pick for fingerstyle at times. And then when I just finally decided to go to school, I switched to strict classical because I figured that was close to fingerstyle, so it'd be an easy move. And it wasn't. It's close, but my professor, who was brilliant, just was like, you need to ditch everything that you've been doing and change your complete technique. And it made a big difference. How often should you replace your guitar strings? Depends on how much you're playing. And when it comes to steel string and electric strings, it also depends on how much you sweat. Because the chemicals in the sweat of your fingers will rust out the strings faster. For my nylon strings, I usually do it... I mean, honestly, it all depends. If I have a big concert thing coming up, I'll usually change my strings 3 days before the concert and leave them on for about 2 weeks till the basses are dead. Because I usually get about 3 or 4 hours of practice in a day before I go teach. And so I'd say every about 2 to 3 weeks with my nylon strings. For my electric strings, if I'm heavy into playing, it's usually once a week. Though right now the set that's on there I used for 3 months when I was doing a stint with the Ohio Light Opera, playing the Pajama Game with full electric guitar. It was like, well, I was playing so much that replacing the strings would have been, I'd have to tune it all the time. Yes, it's time to do it. Definitely. It's like getting a nice new car wash or washing your clothes in one sense. It's going to make it that much more responsive. So totally change the strings. Totally. Especially after that much time. All right. Move on to another quick exercise here. I want to try to get through all of them today. So another 3 minutes. So I'm doing the same idea of the last arpeggio, C-A-M-I-P. Hey, thanks for the file. I smell bad. Nice. I showered this morning, so I'm good. Well, I mean, strings are a good investment to get into, for sure, and especially if you know how to do it yourself. Okay, so I'm going to restart this timer. Nicely played. Nicely played. I appreciate that. All right. So this next exercise is C-A-M-I, and I'm going to be doing it on the B string. And it's going to be the same motion. I'm going to go in, out. Can't believe I fell for that. I smelled bad. That's amazing. I gotta do that to my kids now. Ta-da! 3 minutes and done. Okay, so that one was C-A-M-I on the B string. And the reason that I practice these things on the internal strings is if you're on the outside strings, you tend to overreach. And with finger picking, you want to be as exact as possible. So doing exercises on the internal strings are definitely recommended to keep your technique from getting sloppy. Because you'll know if you make a mistake. You'll hit the IE string. It's like, oh, I'm reaching too far. And, you know, I do these at 90 because it's a comfortable rate for me. If you're just starting out with them and you've never really done exercises like this before, definitely slow it down. You always want your entry into an exercise to be as frictionless as possible. Nice and easy, keeping a good time, making sure that you're accurate with it. And it doesn't matter if it's 40 beats a minute. If that's where your accuracy starts out, that's what you do. And then it's slowly, you can speed it up and get better at it. And it'll start to become more and more second nature. And if your accuracy is very, very high and second nature, you're going to be able to take off in terms of speed a lot faster than if your accuracy is very low, because you're going to be constantly fixing mistakes. So you always want to make sure you have that type of mentality going on with that. All right. Let's see here. Okay, so arpeggios there. What do I do next? I think I'm forgetting. No, I'm not forgetting. Oh, yeah. I did forget one. Haha. So the reverse arpeggios. So same rate that I got going on now. And then I'm going to be doing the same arpeggio, C-A-M-I. And then I'm going to go M-I-A-C. But it's going to be on the same strings. So you're going to see the arpeggio will sound the same, though I'm using different fingers for it. And the goal with this is more of a classical tone exercise. In classical guitar, we tend to care about how our fingers sound when we're coming off the string to a very important degree. It's like part of the big thing is why we sit around doing our nails the way that we do, is to make sure it's got a good sound. All right, play some music, man. Good luck. Have a good day. Thanks. So with this, I'm going to be doing this arpeggio more focused on can I keep a consistent sound between going C-A-M-I and I-M-A-C. So, same rates, same time frame. There it is. And that's that. Man, sometimes 3 minutes feels like forever, which is good, because that means I have to be continually aware of the time with that. All right, usually next up on my list is 5-finger tremolo, which is definitely more of a flamenco than a classical thing. I've done classical tremolo a long time. Tremolo is the technique of using your fingers and thumb, the thumb keeping the, well, I mean, anything classical, you're going to use both. But Nanobot 1100, thanks for the follow. Hopefully you're not really a bot. Or either way, a follow is a follow, I guess. So if I'm entertaining the artificial intelligence that's infected the web, cool. That means that I won't be made into Matrix-like slave thing when you're our overlords. Anyways, so with this, it's 5-finger tremolo. I'm going to be doing it on the B string again. And I call it 5-finger tremolo because tremolo is traditionally P-A-M-I. You know. and so on. But in practice, I want to use the 5 in order to continually get this type of motion going with all my fingers. If I ignore the pinky, which I've done for several years, and this is a relatively new exercise, if I ignore the pinky, it gets it doesn't create a fluidity that I have now that I didn't before. So I've incorporated into it this as a suggestion as another classical teacher, and it's a brilliant idea. So anyways, 3 minutes on the same B string, just kind of doing a simple open string arpeggio. As soon as I can get 3 minutes here. Come back. Cancel. Boom. Resume. Let's see, I can handle it at 75 here. So it's going to be 5 for click. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or you can use hippopotamus, 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 hippopotamus. Even divisions. Yet? Yes. There it is. Seems like it's long, but it's really not. And that's why the timer always makes a good thing whenever you're doing a practice routine. Get a timer going on anything that doesn't have a complete ending or a beginning, or, well, everything has a beginning, but where an exercise doesn't necessarily end, where that's just a repeating cycle. Like the last one, a timer allows you to get through it and move on to the next thing. And the next thing is the Raschiatos, which are really cool. It makes my arm feel like they're on fire. It's on fire back through here. And I'm basically doing these mainly for endurance reasons, just to kind of keep this going. So this is a fan Raschiato technique. Or yeah, that's a butchering of pronunciation. Raschiato. And it's going to be P, M and A out together, then P, thumb down. So it's thumb up, M and A, thumb down. Like that. So I like, in this regard, since it's something where I'm really pushing myself, I'm going to be setting the subdivisions as well, because I don't want to be sloppy in terms of dividing the beat. You always want to try and be as intentionally clear as you can when you're doing that. So, You can hear the lovely ticking of the metronome, and here we go. Oop, well, not till I get 3 minutes on the clock. Ever you fall off a horse, just give yourself a second. With this, it's just, this is, hey, thanks for the follow, Timsky. Whew. And that's that. All right. Well, that was a weird timer thing. It kind of like popped on my screen, then disappeared, but no sound. I'll take it. So, and then I'm done, like, that's both my hands kind of worked out separate. I always like to work them out just to kind of prioritize the techniques in both. And now I generally move on to the to combining both together. But I'm going to take a quick break, and I shall be right back. Back again. Okay, so now that we're done with the both hands separate, we're going to start working them together a little bit. There we go. Cool. All right. Let's see here. And away we go. So this, I'm just going to be working the M and A separate. I've done this pretty much every stream, but I'm going to be doing a semi-chromatic run on this hand with the M and the A on the other to kind of work them together and work out the weaker finger combinations in my plucking hand. M and A generally aren't used all the time for scales, so they kind of get neglected. So that's why I like to isolate it and get the exercises going between these two. And then same thing with I and A. Though that occurs a little bit more, getting I and A to move separately like that just allows things to kind of go smoother when you're actually executing it or have to do something with a quick triplet. So that's the goal with these. So I'm just going to do a semi-chromatic thing with M and A at about 90 beats per minute. It seems to be where I'm comfortable and can consistently hit it. And that's about it. Let's set this over here. There. And here we go. Fingers. Then I reverse it. I started that with A, and now I'm going to start it with M and do the whole thing backwards. Get to a swinging thing through here. That. Then I and A, same routine, and then we get to scales. Fun, wow. Why is my internet stinking right now? I think we're okay. Didn't start that with A. done with that. Yay! All right. Now, last time when I was doing this, I was going through a really elaborate setup for teaching the modes, and I got up to the Phrygian mode there, and ran out of time. But today, I really want to go through all of my scales, so I'm just gonna plug through it and see what happens. Dorian mode. Whoops. Getting tired. Huh. Next mode, Lydian. why do I always end on the going on? Because I want to hit that downbeat, make sure that I'm staying in time. Ugh. Why is my signal is sucking today? Mixolydian. Aeolian, 2 more. Screw that up. Wow, I've only been playing this for decades. Last up. Man. Getting old. Need to rest a little bit more or keep pushing it. Let's keep pushing it. Last mode is the Locrian mode. Here we go. Sloppy at the end. Not too bad. Generally, that was pretty decent. Alright. So that is my daily warm-up routine before I start actually playing some music. That was a little bit longer than I would have liked today. But in essence, that's what I do. Next time I stream, I'm just going to go straight into music after I warm up. So you guys don't have to be subjected to all that unless you like that. And then I can keep doing that. Yeah. Have a good day. Don't forget to practice. Bach is watching you. All that other stuff. Catch you soon.